Hello and welcome to P K Glitz. I'm Janelle Marshall and today we're going to create a slider card using P K Glitz Acetates. As we mentioned prior to the class, you're going to need a knowledge of glitter on acetate technique. To do that, you will need your glue, your acetate picture, and your glitters. Now today I've chosen Cinnabon, China Red, Honey, and White Orchid. In addition to these items, after you've prepared your glitter on acetate, we're going to need a cutter of some description. I prefer the Fisker, white paper, cardstock for the card and for the little folder for our slider. You'll need your anti-static brush, a bone folder, a good ruler, preferably with a metal edge for cutting, our application spoon, scissors for trim work, a craft knife, a alcohol type ink pen. This is for writing on the acetate, so an alcohol ink pen works a little bit better, a little bit of ribbon, and of course my coffee filters for my glitter. Along with the craft knife, I'll be using a cutting surface or board to protect my table. Let's get started on our slider card. First, we're going to choose our acetate. Now, using the pattern that you received in your kit or downloaded from our website, we can take the little section here and determine the pattern that will work best for us in our slider. We do need to have a margin of at least about an inch on the top or the bottom of our picture. Some of our patterns are going to work a little bit better than others. Let me show you what I mean. Our little Snakes in Love, great pattern, plenty of margin top and bottom. Our little crows, once again, pretty good, still have a margin top and bottom. Our bubble hearts, however, are just a little bit large. You might want to choose something a little bit smaller for your slider. But let's go back to our honey bears. That's the one that I've chosen to work today. We're so close to Valentine's Day, this just makes a darling card to give. Now, after we've determined that that's the pattern we'd like to have, we're going to cut out two pieces, and one of those pieces will do our glitter on acetate. I've done mine in a combination of 4 colors: Cinnabon, White Orchid, Honey, and China Red. After you've prepared your glitter on acetate, we'll set that aside to dry. Next, we're going to begin cutting out our cardstock and papers for the slider card. I do a lot of my cutting with my Fisker, and this pattern is just so easy to cut that way. So I'm going to start out here by cutting my straight edges with my Fisker. It's much quicker than the scissors, and you get a nice straight cut every time. And we'll go through all of our little pieces. I'm just lining up my line right there in the channel and then being sure I've got the same thing here at the top. And we're going to cut each straight edge that we can this way, quick and easy. I'm even going to come in here and cut along my cut line here, only coming, of course, as far as there. Stop, let's come back, pick it up, cut again. Now we'll turn and just finish this cut. Remember not to cut the hash marks. Now those are fold lines. We're just cutting on the solid lines. Same thing over here. And there we go. That will take away this portion and this portion. Now, we're going to set our fiscal aside for just a second, and we're going to cut the balance with our craft knife and our ruler. Of course, I have a surface underneath me that will allow me to cut, and I'm using a ruler that has a metal edge. That's always best whenever you're doing craft knife cutting. Now I can just line that metal edge up against my little square here that I want to cut out. Go all the way around with that, just like so. This is going to be the window in our card. Once again, use a nice sharp craft knife, but be careful. And here we go. Okay, there's our little window, and it just pops right out. Gives us a nice clean edge. And if you don't get quite as clean an edge as you would like, of course you can always come in with your scissors and just trim up any little extra bits. Now, one other cut that we need to make is right along this little outside panel here. This is what our card is, a channel our card is going to slide in. So we'll just cut a couple of little areas there. Lift that portion out. And the same thing on the other side. Cutting, as I said, against that metal part of your ruler. These craft knives are so sharp that if you cut against the plastic side, you can sometimes score your ruler. So that's why they make this one with a metal edge. There we go. Okay, now this portion is complete. That's going to be our pocket. We are going to do a couple of folds. We're going to fold along this line and along this line. And we can do that, make it easier using our bone folder. So just make yourself a little score there. Same thing over here. And the same thing over here. Just like that. Now we can go ahead, fold this portion over, be sure it's square. Once again, come in with our bone folder and just crease that. Fold this over. Once again, if you have any problem with it not being square, you can kind of force it in right now. And the same thing here on this side. Okay. There we go. Now there's our pocket for our card. Now, let's set that to the side for just a second. We're going to need some additional pieces of cardstock. Obviously, we're going to need the card itself. Now that's going to be 8.5 by 5.5. We will fold it, turn that into our card itself. Once again, bone folder gives us a nice crease. So there's that portion. Then we're going to need the portion that we use behind the slider, behind the pictures. We're going to call that our slider. This piece of paper needs to be 5 3/4 by 3 3/8, and then we're going to score it at 4 3/4. So I'm going to come in here with my ruler, and I'm going to take a little pin here, whoops, just for a mark, at 4 3/4. I'll just make myself a little tag there, and we'll do one right over here. Okay. Then we will score that piece. To make it easier to fold over. And fold. And using our bone folder, crease. Alright, so now we have our pocket, our card, and our slider. Now we also are going to need 2 pieces of white paper that we will back these with. One cut 3 3/8 by 4 1/4, and another cut 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. Now, we've got all of our papers, our cardstocks cut and ready to go. Let's start a little bit of our assembly. The smaller piece of our copy paper is going to go inside our pocket. So we're going to take a little bit of our sticky tape, and we're just going to run a piece along the edge, just like so. Notice how easily that sticky tape tears. It's just a great little product. Now, we'll put that right on this portion of our pocket. We do that because that gives us the white background behind our picture. So that's why we put it in that area. Now we can set that piece aside. Our second piece of white paper goes in our slider. We'll take it and doing the same thing, just a single piece of tape along the top, just like so. Then we'll put that right into our little slider area here, just like so. Now, how to know the size to cut our acetates? Using this as our pattern, we can lay our picture over the top of that and cut. We can get a double idea of where things are going to be by laying the picture pocket over the top. But once again, remember, we're going to need about that inch at the bottom, and that's the more important one. So, using not the blank acetate, but the one that we did, our glitter on acetate, we're going to mark the size and the area to cut this little piece here. So I'm going to give myself about that 1 inch at the bottom, center it on my piece, and then using my Sharpie or other alcohol type marker, I can just come along here and give myself a little mark to cut. Then we'll get our Fisker cutter out again and simply cut that extra portion off of our acetate, just like so. Okay. Now, once we've done that, we're going to apply our colored piece to our slider. And we'll do that once again by just taking a single strip of our sticky tape, run it right along the edge just like so, peel away the back, and then we're going to add that to our slider just like that. Now, the next portion that we're going to add is going to be the one that we did not glitter. And we want that to line up exactly over the glittered piece. So we're going to take this one and just keep moving it around there until we have exactly a cover here. And once again, with our Sharpie, we're going to decide how we need to cut this last piece. So here we go. I'm just going to come this tall, this wide. Just have a sliver on that side, but we still need to cut that portion as well. All right. And then once again, we'll get back into our Fisker here and cut the various pieces that we need. Just like so. Just like so. Get that bottom extra off. And then just a little sliver along this side. Now, get rid of those pieces. we're going to adhere the clear one right over the top of the other. So another little piece of tape right across the top, just like so. Once again, peel away that extra and match your picture close as you can all the way around, just like so, and then let that be on there as well. If you have any little rough edges or anything like that, simply take your scissors and just cut any little extra bits off. But you shouldn't. It should be work just right. Now I'm going to do one more little thing on my piece. When we're sliding this in and out, it helps if you have put a little cut curve on the edge of your cardstock. So I'm going to get my crop and crop that corner just a moment. I love my little crocodile. It works so well. I'm just going to clean those little corners up. There we go. And that's going to make a difference when we're going in and out of our pocket. Now we're going to test to be sure that it's going to work properly. You put the unglittered side over the top. Of course, when it comes out, see what's going to be happening? And we'll go ahead and fold it into our little pocket here, just to be sure, give a little test that everything's going to be working okay. Oh, that's going to work nicely. That's going to work very nicely. Now that we know that's going to happen, we can go ahead and sort of finish off the little edges. One more little bit of tape, this time, across the top. And we're going to be sure and get just a little bit right there on that corner. That corner can kind of plague you sometimes. So I'm going to be sure I get just a little bit of adhesive there. And then we'll, once again, just peel away the little extra bits. There we go. Fold that over. And there's our little piece. Now, taking our pocket, put our slider over the top, just like so. Fold it inside. To keep it from totally coming out of the pocket and to give it a stopping place, we're going to cut two little tabs. And the easiest way to do that, I have found, is after you've got everything situated like we have right now, come in where your little slits are, make a little dot at the bottom of the slit, then move up about 1/4 of an inch and make another little dot. Now, when we open it up, you can see the little dots we have right there. We're going to cut to that dot. So just a nice straight little cut, just like so, once and twice. And then I'm going to take just a little, maybe 1/4 of an inch off the end there. And I'll show you why we do that in just a second. Same thing over on the other side. Just cut right to your little dots you've made and cut about 1/4 of an inch off that. Then we're going to continue to fold our pocket together, putting the little tab through the slot on each one, just like that. Now you are going to want to use some just regular tape, and we'll put that right along the back seam, just like that. That's going to hold it together. Now, let's look and see. There's our pocket. There we go. Everything seems to be working okay. So now we'll finish putting the card together. I've chosen the cardstock in the bright red for our background, and I think that's going to be kind of fun. But I'm going to fix mine up just a tiny little bit. We're going to be having classes soon on using our embossing items, and I'm going to give you just a little quick preview to that. I'm going to use some of our Max embossing powder. I'm using it in the China Red. Of course, with our embossing, we do need to use an embossing ink. So I'm going to use that. Oh, I'm going to show you my dirty ink pad there, but it works just fine. Before I begin, I'm going to take my anti-static brush, and I'm just going to brush all around the outside edge of my card. That cuts my static. Then I'm going to take just a simple little stamp here. I just love this little curls. It works in a lot of different ways. And just around the outside edge only, I'm just going to come in, turn it first one way and then the other, come in and make a little border on the outside edge of my card. This just gives it a little more flavor than what it might have had before, being kind of plain. All the way around, keep turning one direction then the other. Now let's just set that to the side. Then we'll take our China Red Max. China Red, or Max, is an embossing powder maxed out with glitter. It's a great way to get a glittery look, but able to use a stamp at the same time. So I stamped my ink. Now I'm going to go over the whole thing with my Max powder. Just let that extra fall away. All the way around, just like so. Then give it a little tap, getting little extra bits off, just like so. Now we'll get rid of that. Then, using our heat tool, because of course when we're powder embossing, we have to heat set it. So I'm going to take my heat tool, and usually we let it run for just a moment before we actually put it on our cardstock. That keeps you from warping the cardstock. Once it's warm, we're going to come around and set our Max glitter. Just hold it in that spot until you can see it turn. You'll know it's done, and then move on. We call that M&M, or melt and move. As it melts, you move, but not beforehand, not really necessary. So I'm going all the way around my card. And as I said, this is just to give it a little bit of flavor, just so it's not quite so plain. Our focus, of course, is going to be our slider that's on top. Almost done here. There we go. I think that will do it. Now we're going to take our anti-static brush once again, and we'll just take that little extra bit that's on there. Just brush that extra. That's only glitter, actually, that's kind of staying behind. The embossing powder stuck to the card and the embossing ink, so that just gets our little extra glitz off. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. Now we'll have a little background to our card that just adds a little sparkle, just a lot of fun. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean off the little extra bits of glitter off of all of that. We're going to do two more things. First, we're going to apply the pocket to the card. And I'm going to show you a real quick trick. When you need a dimensional dot, and maybe you don't have quite the right one or the right color, this is a real fun trick. Take your 1/4-inch tape, and I've got just a little piece of leftover foamy here. I'm sure you all have several pieces of it in various colors. First on one side, then on the other. Put your double-sided tape. Now, I can cut right along my tape, just like so, and I have a long dimensional piece that I can cut in whatever sizes I like. So I'm going to cut a couple of little 1/4-inch pieces off here. Once again, we'll put one right down here in the corner. And see, that's why we cut that little tab 1/4-inch off. That gives us a place to put that little dimensional dot. Same thing here. Just peel off one side. There we go. Put our little tab right there. Same thing, let's cut two more that are that size. And we'll put them on all four corners. And then, once we've got the corners done, we're going to come in and put one piece right down the center. That just sort of gives us some support for the middle of our card. Just like so. Okay? Now we've got that part done. All we've got to do is take that little paper off the top of our newly made dimensional dots. And the nice thing about doing it this way is if you've got a card or a page or something that requires other than a white dimensional dot, maybe black or cream or red or whatever, you can make your dimensionals any color you would like for them to be, so they're much less obtrusive. Now there's our card. I want to be sure I've got it opening the right direction. Have any of you all ever done that? Put your card on upside down? I've done that more than once. Center it. Hit all 5 of your little dots there. And then the last item we're going to add to this is going to be a little bow. I usually just do the old round the loop. I'm not sure what they say, that round the chicken house or something. Anyway, we'll make just a small bow. Give that a little pull. Take our scissors and cut its little extra leg off there. Then, using either a piece of your tape or, if you know me, if you've seen some of our demonstrations before, I like to use a little tiny piece of Wonder Film. Wonder Film is much stickier than the traditional tapes. On a scale of 1 to 10, Wonder Film's about an 11.5. And it makes a great adhesive. It's actually a little bit larger than I need. A great adhesive. Can be cut in any shape that you would like, but the fun thing is Wonder Film is 100% usable. If you've used your film and maybe you've used it in your die cut machine to cut a special pattern or something out of, you've always got little bits and pieces left over. Well, those bits and pieces become your glue dots, so boy, don't throw those away. So here we go, and we're just going to put that right here on the top of our little card just to give us a little pull. Okay? And just like that now, we've got our great little pocket card, and it's magic when you open it every time. Now I've done a few others to show you some of the other patterns that you can play with, maybe not quite so seasonal. So let's take a look at those. Our cardinal pattern makes a great pocket slider. Adding the China red and the red hot chili and the wings really makes the colors pop on that one. Of course, flowers are always popular, and the iris in shades of lavender. Isn't that just gorgeous? And what magic! One of my favorites is the grape arbor. The colors are so bright and pretty. And everyone's favorite, the little hummingbird nectar. And back to our little honey bears. They'll wonder how you did it, and they'll never know how quick and easy it was. Thank you for joining our class today, featuring the slider card with P K Glitz Acetates. Be sure to join our email family so we can let you know about other upcoming classes, and also tell you about the kits available for our classes at the P K Glitz store. Until next time.